The following is a presentation of the Liberty Flames Sports Network from Van Wagner. Welcome to the Liberty Flames Clubhouse Report from Van Wagner on the Liberty Flames Sports Network. The Flames Clubhouse Report is brought to you by Fink's Jewelers since 1930, trusted for generations. Stay tuned for the latest views on Liberty Flames baseball, a look around the ASUN Conference, and we'll catch up with Flames head coach Scott Jackson. Now, here's the voice of Flames baseball, Nick Pierce.
Hello once again, everyone, and welcome to this Week 3 edition of the Liberty Flames Clubhouse Report. And we come to you this week from Orlando, Florida, where the Flames are visiting the UCF Knights. Third straight week that Liberty has been on the road for a weekend series, and should be a big challenge, and three really good ball games down here in the Sunshine State. Nick Pierce coming to you this week. We've got a busy show as always. We're thrilled that you're with us. The head coach of the Flames, Scott Jackson, will be stopping by a little bit later on. We'll get his thoughts after Thursday night's practice at John Giuliano Park on the UCF campus. And also this week, we're going to be visiting with Flames left fielder Aaron Anderson, who has reached base safely in every game so far. The Flagler College transfer is making a mark in his first season at Liberty, and we'll be talking with Aaron just a little bit later on. Great conversation that we were able to have here this week. So the Flames come into this weekend at 3-5. They are trying to get their first road win since opening day. The Flames are 1-5 away from their home ballpark. But they did pick up a win in the midweek again this week. Liberty over Radford this time, 5-1 in Lynchburg at Worthington Field. The Flames beat the Highlanders in the first of two meetings between those two ball clubs this year. And a breakout game for Flames designated hitter Brady Gulikowski. Two-run homer in the second inning, RBI double in the eighth inning. He drove in three of the Flames' 5 runs. He was on base 3 times and scored twice in that game as well. Really good to see Gulikowski break out. Prior to that ball game, Gulikowski had just 2 hits on the season, and then he had 2 hits in one night on Tuesday. So the Flames are hoping that's a sign of things to come for him after getting off to a slow start. Liberty offensively trying to get it going. The Flames still not quite cashing in all those opportunities with men on base right now the way that they'd like to. But, boy, the pitching sure has looked good at times, and Tuesday night was no exception as the Flames bullpen combined. David Erickson, Nick Willard, and Landon Riley, they combined for 5 2/3 innings pitched. 2 hits allowed, no runs, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts between that trio. So if the Flames can continue to get good pitching like that and continue to play pretty solid defense, they're going to be in every game that they play. But certainly it'd be nice to get some more contribution from the offensive side as well. Liberty hoping for that this weekend. Certainly won't come easy against this UCF crowd. The Knights are 3-5 on the year, but 2 of those 3 wins came against then number 1 ranked Ole Miss. If you go back to last weekend, the Knights went to Oxford. They took game 1 of the series and then played a doubleheader on Saturday. UCF had a 2-run lead in the bottom of the 9th inning and gave up 3 to lose that game in walk-off fashion. And you would think, well, mentally they're probably done for the second game as well. But that was not the case as UCF came back and won that second game over Ole Miss pretty handily, actually, and went on to take the series 2 out of 3. But outside of that, UCF has had its struggles at times this year. You look at the Knights' schedule, they lost 2 of 3 to FAU on opening weekend. Granted, FAU having a pretty good year. They're ranked 21st in the country. They lost to Stetson 7-0, then had the series win at Ole Miss, then played at Stetson this past Wednesday night, lost a 1-run ball game there, 6-5. Now, granted, Stetson off to its best start in school history at 10-0. So they've faced some pretty good ball clubs. 3-5 record so far for UCF. They've got some very talented players. From an offensive standpoint, freshman shortstop Alex Freeland having a sensational year so far, hitting .484. A switch hitter that bats up in the lineup, the top 2-3 spots in the lineup for UCF so far. Ben McCabe, their catcher, has been on a tear as well. He's got 4 homers, leads the Knights with 16 RBIs. UCF offensively is at 12 home runs so far. And so they've got some guys in that lineup that can certainly hurt you. So talk about that good pitching that the Flames have had so far. They'll be put to the test coming up here this weekend. This is a series between Liberty and UCF that goes all the way back to 1983. In fact, that was the last time the Flames beat the Knights. You got to go back to 83 when Liberty was an NAIA member. They have not met on the diamond, however, since 1991. The Flames are 1-5 all time against the UCF Knights, and so it'll be good to get these two ball clubs back together here. A couple of teams that have aspirations of going to an NCAA regional. Greg Lovelady, the head coach of the Knights, one of the good guys in the ball game. If you're not familiar with him, Lovelady was a member of 2 national championship teams at the University of Miami. He was their catcher, won the national title in 1999, and then he was also their team captain in 2001 when they won the national championship for the second time in 3 years. He has coached several guys that have gone on to the big leagues, including Joe Smith, the Astros reliever, and then also Sean Murphy of the Oakland A's. Had a lot of success at Wright State, was there for a long time, first as a pitching coach, and then as the head coach. He took Wright State to a couple of regional finals, then came back to Florida in 2016 as the head coach at UCF, where he's been ever since, and he's already taken the Knights to a regional in that time as well. So Greg Lovelady, one of the good guys in the ball game, and certainly one of the more successful guys in college baseball. Should be a great matchup with his club coming up here this weekend. Before we get to our first break and visit with this week's guest, let's take a look around the rest of the conference.
Now it's time for this week's ASUN Notebook.
Yeah, this week's ASUN Notebook features a couple of big wins on Wednesday for ASUN ball clubs. We mentioned Stetson earlier. The Hatters took down the UCF Knights on Wednesday 6-5. Stetson scoring twice in the bottom of the 8th inning to come from behind. Stetson now 10-0 on the season. However, head coach Steve Tripper says challenging days are ahead for the Hatters.
South Florida is going to be a great weekend. Then we turn around and go right up to Gainesville and then on to Alabama for an SEC, and then come right back, South Florida, Wichita State, FIU. I mean, it just keeps on rolling from here on out. So there's all good teams on our schedule. So, it's nice to be 10-0. It's nice where we're at this point. I think, no one's going to be unhappy with that. But we also don't want to be satisfied and say, all right, season's over. Like, we have a lot of hay to make and put in the barn.
Yeah, for sure. Stetson at home for 3 with the University of South Florida this weekend. Game 1 coming up Friday night at 6:30. Kennesaw State Owls have plenty to hoot about after Wednesday's win over number 5 Georgia. 6-4. Kennesaw State scored 3 in the bottom half of the 8th inning and took the lead on this Tyler Simon at bat.
Simon singled his last time up. A walk and a fly out today, and he takes this one over the shortstop into left center field. Alex Carballo touches home. Here goes Simon, trying for 3, in ahead without a throw, and an RBI triple for Tyler Simon.
Noah Alexander with the call on ESPN+. Simon, the Owls shortstop, finished 2 for 3 in the ball game with an RBI and a run scored himself as Kennesaw State wins it 6-4 over Georgia. The Owls now 5-3 on the year. Looking ahead to the weekend, Kennesaw State will visit UAB for a 3-game series. Elsewhere in the league, Bellarmine at home to host Eastern Michigan for 4. North Florida visits the Georgia Bulldogs this weekend. Game 1 coming up at 5 o'clock on Friday night. Number 21 FAU hosting Florida Gulf Coast. The Eagles off to a 6-2 start, but they'll be challenged here this weekend. One of their 2 losses has already come to FAU. North Alabama at home hosting Little Rock in a 3-game set. Jacksonville hosts Wofford, and Lipscomb, its program, unfortunately, has had its activities paused due to some COVID-19 protocols, and the Bison's 4-game series this weekend with Kansas has been canceled. The Bisons also had to cancel a midweek matchup earlier this week with Austin Peay. They hope to get back to action maybe as soon as next weekend. Let's look at your ASUN Notebook. We'll take our first break, and when we come back on this week's Flames Clubhouse Report, we'll catch up with Liberty left fielder Aaron Anderson in his first season with the Flames and off to a hot start at the plate. You're listening to the Liberty Flames Clubhouse Report presented by Fink's Jewelers. From Van Wagner, this is the Liberty Flames Sports Network.
Back-to-back Cure Bowl champion.
The Flames won!
Ranked 17th in the nation. Wins over Virginia Tech and Syracuse.
The Flames wrap up the hook.
Flames Nation, we're just getting started. Be at Williams Stadium this fall for Liberty Flames football. Head coach Hugh Freeze and the Flames are looking to win their third straight bowl game. Season tickets start at just $70, a savings of 51% from single game prices. Get yours now at lufootball.com. Now, back to the Liberty Flames Clubhouse Report, presented by Fink's Jewelers.
Welcome back to this week's Flames Clubhouse Report. Nick Pierce with you, and it's time to visit now with this week's player profile. Flames junior Aaron Anderson, transfer from Flagler College in St. Augustine, Florida. First season with the Flames, and it's going well for you so far, Aaron. You've reached base in every game so far up to this point, but overall, what's the Liberty experience been like just outside of baseball?
I've really enjoyed it. First, thanks for having me on. I've loved it up here so far. It's been a really, really great experience being around these players and guys that, you come into a new environment, you don't exactly know what it's going to be like, how you're going to be received. And everyone that's been here has just received me with open arms and have really, really brought me into the family. And that's what it is. It's a family environment. And I think that's something that I really, really cherish, because it's not that way everywhere. So to have a group of guys and the coaches as well that really care about you as a person as much as they care about you as a player is really, really special.
Aaron, how did you first hear about Liberty, and when did you know that transferring was going to be an option or a good option for you?
I've known about Liberty since probably middle school. I knew it was just a great Christian university, and I was interested in it coming out of high school. My game wasn't quite where it needed to be at that point in my life to play here. But I was really, really blessed to be able to play for 4 years at Flagler. And after the season got shut down last year, Flagler doesn't have any grad school. So I needed to find a new place that I could continue both my education and my playing career. And when Coach Jackson reached out, I was really, really excited. It was immediately one of my top choices. And it was really, really neat to be able to go somewhere that I'd heard of for a long time, and that I was excited to go and continue my career for another couple of years.
So who initiated the contact then? You said Coach Jackson reached out to you?
Yes, sir.
And I mean, what did that feel like? Because like you said, you'd wanted to come here. Did it feel like that it was just kind of one of those meant to be type situations that, with you wanting to come here originally, not able to, and then, oh, look, this is going to work out after all?
Yeah, it was really, really cool. That whole time was such a whirlwind, because, I had thought that grad transferring was possibly going to be in my future, having another, even before the coronavirus hit and everyone got another year back, I was still going to have a fifth year of eligibility after I redshirted for a year. So I knew that was going to be on the horizon at some point, but I was expecting to kind of have those conversations and be making those decisions in June or July, probably when I was playing summer ball instead of sitting at home, doing all that kind of stuff, because it was April, it was baseball season. It was weird to be sitting on your couch when you should be going on a bus to play somebody, or, should be at the field getting extra swings in before a weekend series. So it was such a crazy time. I wish I could have gone back and kind of appreciated it or cherished it a little bit more, so that I could take it in and reflect on it a little bit. But yeah, when Coach Jackson called me, it was really, really exciting. And I'm just really, really blessed to be here. And I'm thankful that I've been given this opportunity.
Flames outfielder Aaron Anderson joining us here on the Flames Clubhouse Report this week. So you've got this year and next year of eligibility then, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And obviously off to a great start here with the Flames this year. All you've done is hit, man. I look back at your career at Flagler, 369 last year, 343 the year before that, 330 the year before that. How natural does hitting come to you, and especially being a switch hitter?
It's funny. Growing up, I don't think I was necessarily a hitter. I was actually a little second baseman, and could pick it and turn double plays and all that kind of stuff. And just as I grew up and kind of my body changed, I was really, really fortunate to be around some quality hitting coaches who taught me how to hit, not just the physical aspect of it, but the mental side. And that's something that I've tried to improve on, every single year, is the mental part of it, because, at some point the physical, God's giving you the physical tools, and at some point you're going to hit your ceiling on that. But a lot of times, if you can grow from a mental standpoint and change your approach to adapt to what pitchers are trying to do to you, that's where you can really grow. And that's just continued here at Liberty with Coach Cannon and Coach Jackson, giving us the information that we need, going into the box against the pitchers we face. We face some quality arms, but we're really, really prepared when we get up there to face whatever they got for us.
I love hearing people's stories, hitters' stories on how they became switch hitters, because it's so hard to do. You have to spend just as much time working on one side of the plate as you do the other. When did you start switch hitting? When did you know that you could be good at it?
So I started switch hitting full time when I was 10 years old. I could always kind of do it, like, when you're in T-ball and you're up by a lot or down by a lot, your coach said, okay, hit from the other side. And I always had the hand-eye coordination to kind of put the bat on the ball. It wasn't pretty, but it was something I could do. And really the reason I wanted to do it was I grew up loving the Atlanta Braves, and I grew up loving Chipper Jones. And that's when I was a kid, that's who I wanted to be when I grew up. I wanted to wear number 10. I wanted to switch it. And I wanted to play third base for the Braves. So that was just kind of always the inspiration and always the dream. And it's cool now because I get to do it, and I get to try to emulate somebody that, is probably, in my book, he's the second best switch hitter of all time behind Mickey Mantle. And, I think he's inspired a lot of people, especially across the South, on how to play the game and how to take it every day. And when you're a big leaguer for 20 years, you can learn a lot from a guy like that. So I was really fortunate to have someone that I could watch on TV every night and see how he played the game.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Flames outfielder Aaron Anderson joining us here on the Flames Clubhouse Report. Last couple of things, you were playing a lot of first base at Flagler, and then you moved to the outfield here. As you said, you grew up as a second baseman, but I guess there's not that many 6'2" second basemen, so we're going to have to make an adjustment there. What has the outfield been like for you? And, was that pretty easy for you to pick up?
I played almost every game of my career at Flagler at first base. The first time I really moved to the outfield on somewhat of a permanent basis was in the summer of 2019, playing in the Northwoods League for the Fond du Lac Dock Spiders. We had 3 really, really good first basemen other than me on that team. And just to get in the lineup, our coach came to me literally the day that I showed up and said, hey, you think you could go out and play some left field? And of course, I just wanted to play. So I was, sure, I can go out there and, give me an outfielder glove and let's go do this thing. So I've come a long way since then. And the coaching that I've gotten from Coach Jackson and being around other outfielders like Jalen Guy and like Jake Wilson. Just try to follow everything they do. They're 2 of the best defensive outfielders that you could have. So having them in center and right, it's really, really helpful for me because I see what they do. I see how they move and all that kind of stuff. And if I can try to emulate those guys and try to do what they do in the outfield, I should be all right.
Lastly here, Aaron, getting ready for UCF this weekend, going to play in your home state of Florida. That's got to be exciting for you, but then to play also against a quality opponent that just took 2 out of 3 from who was the number 1 team in the country in Ole Miss last weekend. That's also got to make you excited, I would think.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's going to definitely be a challenge for us. And, anytime you go on the road in a different environment, you just got to go out and you got to be ready, and you got to buy in and go in there with a ton of confidence. And hopefully the win last night will give us some of that confidence. And I'm excited to get down to Orlando and see what we can do.
Aaron, appreciate the time. Good luck coming up here this weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
Great kid there. Flames outfielder Aaron Anderson joining us on the Liberty Flames Clubhouse Report. Stick around. When we come back on the other side of this break, we'll catch up with the head coach of the Flames, Scott Jackson. Our weekly chat with the head coach presented by Beacon Credit Union. You're listening to the Liberty Flames Clubhouse Report from Fink's Jewelers on the Liberty Flames Sports Network from Van Wagner.
This broadcast of Liberty Flames Athletics is brought to you in part by Beacon Credit Union. Beacon Credit Union is a full-service financial institution offering a wide range of products and services. Having served Lynchburg and the surrounding area for over 75 years, our vision is to be the premier provider of quality financial services, a leader in our community, and the most progressive financial institution in our field. More information on Beacon Credit Union and all your banking needs is available online at mybcu.org. Equal housing lender, member NCUA.
Back to the Liberty Flames Clubhouse Report, presented by Fink's Jewelers. This week's show continues with the thoughts of Liberty head baseball coach Scott Jackson, presented by Beacon Credit Union.
Clubhouse Report continues with the thoughts of the head coach as we get ready here for Liberty and UCF this weekend in Orlando. And, Coach, awful nice to get out here on a Thursday night and actually hit on the field and take ground balls on the field and kind of get a little bit better feel for things, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's our first Thursday night. We had a Wednesday night at Campbell and, got rained out down there at TCU. So certainly appreciate UCF and their staff and them letting us get out here and move around a little bit. It's always a good feeling once you get off that airplane to get the guys out here and have a good practice. So I hope it pays off for us. I like the energy with our ball club, and we'll get after it tomorrow.
Thoughts on the ballpark, how things were carrying, the flight of the ball, or, just dimensions, how the infield plays, or initial thoughts? Yeah,
my focus was on the infield. Obviously, it's a natural surface, probably a little more firm than what we're used to. So we didn't even run the bases in BP. We spent all our time on ground balls and defense and just getting used to the speed of play. And I thought our guys did a good job. I didn't really honestly watch much of BP just as far as the ball going off the bat. So our outfielders were out there working. I noticed Jalen and Aaron and Jake running around, so that's a good thing. And we worked the ball in the gaps a little bit and played some balls off the wall, played pretty straight, pretty fair. So nothing too concerning.
Got a win on Tuesday night against Radford and pitched it very well in that ball game. Now coming in here this weekend, back-to-back weekends with a doubleheader now, and this time you're starting it out on Friday. How is the ball club prepared for that after having to do it just last weekend as well?
Well, you're never really prepared for a doubleheader on Friday, I don't think. Especially, thank goodness we played Tuesday instead of Wednesday from a pitching standpoint. But it is what it is. You can't control the weather, and obviously it's UCF home game, so they're making the call here, and obviously Greg knows the weather well down here, and it doesn't look good at all on Saturday. So it'll be a challenge for our club, certainly to get in the bed and get up and get going, and knowing we have 18 innings against a really quality opponent tomorrow is going to be a big challenge for us.
Yeah, no doubt, a very tough opponent. 3-5 record, but 2 of those 3 wins are against the number 1 team in the country, and they were very close to sweeping the number 1 team in the country in Ole Miss. What do you make of them after looking at some of their footage here so far this season?
Yeah, they're good. They've got some really, really good young players. I know Pena and Freeland at the top of the order. That's as good as it gets. Pena's just a tooled-up athlete that can really run and do some things, a lot of power and certainly a lot of speed. And then Freeland is off to an unbelievable start for a freshman. He's a switch hitter, a kid that we actually called and saw play and, kind of tried to get in there and recruit a little bit out of high school. So we know what he's capable of, and certainly has gotten off to a great start for them and looks about as confident as you can right now just watching him on video, especially last night's game. I watched Stetson play UCF, and he looked very confident from both sides, standing in the batter's box.
Yeah, when they talk about college baseball being deeper and more talented this year, kids like that is who they're talking about as far as the draft getting shortened last year.
Yeah, some teams it's deeper and talented because they're older, and then, other teams it's just ultra-talented freshmen like we saw at TCU, and we're going to see this weekend. So good recruiting on their part, and kids that have been able to jump in right away and play. That's not easy to do as a freshman.
Outside of Freeland, who are the biggest threats in their lineup? Ben McCabe's got, 16 RBIs already?
Yeah, they all are. I mean, just watching them stand in the batter's box and take swings against Stetson the other night, I thought they were balanced. I thought they had bat speed. I thought, they really juiced some balls down there at Melching, and you and I both know it's a pretty big ballpark, and so just the quality of contact, I think, from 1 through 9 is what stood out. There's some batting averages in there, similar to our guys that aren't pretty, but some guys that they have good swings and they just haven't gotten off to a good start, whether it's, some atom balls or some bad luck. I really like the look of their team and their offense.
How does your rotation stack up this weekend?
Well, it's great. I mean, we love, DeLate and Meyer are going to go in that doubleheader tomorrow. We know what we're getting from those guys. There's competitiveness, and, Gibson just needs to get in there and get settled like we talked about. He's still looking for that opportunity to get off the field and have a quick inning, and hopefully, the more he's acclimated to his routine and getting out there, he'll have that success this weekend. So I like our, from a stuff and competitive standpoint, I'll put our rotation up against anybody. UCF's rotation's tough, and so it should be a good series.
Facing a couple of left-handers off the bat with UCF, the way that you threw your lineup together on Tuesday, Cam Locklear in the middle kind of broke the lefties up there a little bit. Did you like the way that it stacked up there?
Yeah, I don't really, I don't want to really get too much into the right-left thing. I just want to get our guys up there with some confidence. I haven't really noticed anybody that, I think looks lost against left-handed pitching as far as our left-handed hitters go. So, just watching our guys over the last couple of days, and certainly, in the batter's box against Radford, I think Brady made some quick adjustments, and we may move him up. I'm still giving it some thought. Still need to watch some of their guys on video a little bit, and sometimes you're not necessarily trying to beat the starter. You're trying to have that lineup set for the bullpen, especially this time of year when pitch counts are lower than they usually are. So a lot of that's going to come into play, and it'll be a decision that I can sit down with Coach Cannon, Coach Williams, Coach Jackson, and just kind of take a look at and see how we want to stack it up tomorrow.
I know folks are wondering, do we have an update on Brandon Rohrer, how he's doing at this point?
Oh, good. I'm glad you asked. Yeah, Brandon had surgery on Wednesday, so they went in there and repaired the nose. He did text me and call me after he was done, and he seemed to be doing great. The biggest thing with Brandon is he just misses the guys and misses being around us. I know it's not easy. I went through that my senior year in high school where you're watching, we didn't have it back then, but he's watching us on video and just dying to be in the dugout and be on the field. So it's going to be a process. The good news is he's going to be able to get back to activity in 1 week, which is great. He's going to have to do the mask type deal and try to get used to that. But as far as being cleared to play, it's going to be a minute. It's going to be a couple weeks for him to be able to say, I feel good enough, number one, and number two, the doctors feel good about him getting back out here. So we're praying for Brandon. He's such a fun kid, and I just miss being around him every day. He's got a good spirit and good energy about him.
Well, hopefully at that point he won't have to wear the cloth mask then, right?
yeah, double down on both of them. Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
All right, Coach, appreciate the time.
All right, thanks, Nick.
Our weekly chat with Liberty Flames head baseball coach Scott Jackson, as always, presented by Beacon Credit Union. All right, let's look ahead here to the weekend. Of course, a schedule change, Liberty and UCF. First pitch for Game 1 of the series, part of a doubleheader. Friday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Starting pitching matchup, left-hander Colton Gordon will go for UCF. He's 1-0 with a 1.64 ERA. Flames will counter with a left-hander of their own, Trevor DeLate. Pitched pretty well last week at TCU, didn't get the result. He's 0-1 with a 4.66 ERA. Game 2 of the double dip on Friday, approximately 45 minutes after the conclusion of Game 1. It'll be Hunter Patterson, a left-hander, going for UCF, 0-1 with an ERA north of 17. He's had a rough outing so far. Mason Meyer will counter for the Flames, left-hander, 0-1 with a 2.89 ERA. And Game 3 of the series will be played on Sunday. Supposed to be some really bad weather here on Saturday, lots of rainfall, so no baseball Saturday. But Game 3 on Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time start. That game moved back an hour to give the Flames a little extra time to get back to the Orlando airport and catch their flight back to Lynchburg. So Liberty and UCF will meet Game 3 Sunday at 11 a.m. A.J. Jones, the right-hander, will go for UCF. You may remember that name, a Jacksonville transfer. The Flames faced him a couple of years ago when they went to Jacksonville. Jones, the right-hander, 1-0 so far for UCF with a 3.60 ERA. Trey Gibson, right-hander, will go for the Flames, 0-2. And he's had a couple of tough outings in which he's not lasted past the second inning in either of them. So Gibson trying to stay out there for a little while longer here this time and just try to figure some things out on the mound. And Liberty certainly hoping he can do that this Sunday. Very talented arm. No question he's going to be a good one to watch for years to come for Liberty, but just trying to get him on track right now as a true freshman. This weekend's broadcast plans, LibertyFlames.com will have live radio play-by-play coverage for all 3 games, and Sunday's broadcast can also be heard on local radio in Lynchburg, 90.9 FM The Light, WQLU. So hope you will join us in some capacity coming up here this weekend. We're out of time on this week's edition of the Liberty Flames Clubhouse Report. I want to thank our guests, Aaron Anderson and head coach Scott Jackson, for joining us. Until next time, my name is Nick Pierce saying enjoy the baseball this weekend. So long, everybody.
You've been listening to the Liberty Flames Clubhouse Report, presented by Fink's Jewelers. For more on Flames baseball, check out LibertyFlames.com. You can also follow the team on Twitter and Instagram at Liberty Baseball and on Facebook at Liberty Flames Baseball. The Flames Clubhouse Report is an exclusive presentation from Van Wagner on the Liberty Flames Sports Network.